Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today I was going to talk to you a little bit about what kind of tools do you need when installing the deck boards. This isn't a video about framing or building the entire deck. It's more geared towards just the actual installation of the decking. So if you like this video, or you like something you see in this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, all right? So probably the #1 tool that I use when I'm installing decking is one of these. This is called an impact driver. This one happens to be a triple hammer impact driver made by Metabo HPT. It's a pretty cool tool. We have a specialty bit installed in it. It's made for the Fasten Master Cortex hidden fastening system. Depending on how we install the decking will determine what type of instrument we use to install it. Well, since we're using a Cortex plug and face screwing, we're using the Cortex driver bit and some stainless steel screws. These are new 3/16 inch stainless steel Cortex screw. Very high quality, made to last a long time. Fits right in the head of this bit. They're kind of, you know, sometimes they'll stay in the head if you hold it right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And so that's probably #1. We run thousands of these screws every week, and it's a great way to install your deck board, okay? Some other things I use while installing to keep all of my lines straight, I use a Deckmate spacer, company called Deckmate. I don't know if you can read that on there. This particular spacer has a 3/16 inch gap on one side and an 1/8 inch gap on the other. I don't use the 1/8 inch gap too much. I primarily keep the 3/16 gap down when I'm installing decking, and we'll run 5 deck boards at a time when we're running the Cortex system. Other fastening systems that we use, we might only be able to install 1 board at a time. With this system, we can install 5 boards at a time. So the spacers really help keep things straight. Something else we use is these clamps made by Irwin. They're called Quick Grips, and they have a decking adapter kit on them. This lets us cinch the deck boards tight with the spacers in place, and that's what really keeps things together and straight. So if you start your deck with a straight board, you're definitely going to be able to keep everything nice and tight with this type of system. These are no longer available, so you'd have to reach out to Deckmaster J on Instagram if you want to have some parts made for your clamps, or if you want to get the 3D file needed to print your own. So they are printable, the ones he has, and they work just as good as these ones that I purchased these a long time ago. I've had these for 6 years. So they're no longer available. I've even had people from Australia send me some because they were still available there. So I've got a little bit of a stash of these. Don't tell nobody, okay? But these clamps, I have 15 of them, and they're set up and ready to rock anytime I need. If I'm doing 20 footers and I gotta cinch it every 12 inches, I'm pretty much good to go. So these clamps really come in handy. Something else we use quite often is a jigsaw. This is a cordless model DeWalt. It works really good for me. I usually run an Irwin, or not, excuse me, not Irwin, a Diablo blade. I use an aggressive cut because even on PVC, even if you use an aggressive cutter, it's still gonna do all right. It's not gonna make too much of a chunky mess. If you do, you can always adjust down your bevel or your oscillator action of the cut of your saw so that it'll cut smoother. This is just for notching mostly. I don't try to cut straight lines with this. I'm just cutting out notches and maybe an occasional straight cut on a board. So this is called a track saw, and this runs on a rail, which you can see right here. I have 3 different, well, actually I have 5 different lengths of tracks. Today I've pulled out 3 different lengths. So I have a 9 foot, a 5 foot, a 3 foot, and a 2 foot. So I have 4 different tracks. This saw runs in that rail and makes really straight cuts. This changed my life. I used to just hand cut everything and then I had to belt sand everything. Now when I use this, I don't have to sand so much, hardly at all. And this one's a cordless version. It's the DeWalt FlexVolt version. So we run a 12 amp hour battery on it. Great tool. I definitely suggest if you're a deck builder and you're gonna do more than 1 deck, having one of these is really helpful. When I'm trying to make cuts either on a curve or maybe I have to be close to something, like possibly near a post and I can't fit a track saw in, then this is the saw I go to. This is a Makita 5.5-inch saw. It has a 40-tooth, high-quality 10 Ryu blade. Well, this one has 36 teeth, carbide tipped, beautiful blade, beautiful cutting saw, very accurate, and it has a power brake on it. Oh, I don't have it plugged in. So it winds down really fast. So this saw is definitely something that I cherish. I have 2 of them and use them on just about every project. There's sometimes you got to make a nice straight laser cut and you can't do it with a track saw. Something to think about. I think the model number on this is 5005BA. You got to have one of these too. This is a belt sander. I use an aggressive ceramic 36 grit blade. That's the only grit I really use because usually when I'm using a belt sander, I'm trying to remove material with it. Not so much for finish. It's to get something out of the way, get something sanded down. I can be very precise with this though and can make really nice fits with it. DeWalt no longer makes this belt sander. So if you have one of these and you don't want it anymore, send us a message and I'll be happy to buy it from you because I go through about one of these every 2 to 3 years. I have 2 on site and 1 at my shop, but that one's limping pretty hard. So I always like to have a couple extra. This one's actually in fairly good shape. I'm spending about $120, $130 for these. DW 432, 3x21-inch belt sander. It's just the one that I need for what I do. I'm so used to this belt sander. I prefer not to switch brands or switch types or switch styles. I really like this belt sander. It is a power cord. I'm cool with that. I totally use it all the time. So a belt sander, probably something you ought to think about. And then when you start making a little extra dough, you might consider a strip sander as well. I use this all the time. I use this to detail the edges. Instead of trying to use a router and bullnose all the edges on my decking, I just put a flat rasp. Like usually I'm using one of these, rasp, to file and detail edges, right? But when I have a lot of footage to do, I'll use this tool. And this is also a great tool. I use it all the time. I have 2 of these, but one of them has a broken metal strip right here. So you can't really push against it like you can on this one, but it's also flexible on the other side. If you need to get around something like a curvature, you can flip this over. This handle moves around and it allows you to flip the sander over. I always keep this down when I'm putting it down on the deck so I don't accidentally sand the deck if I don't want to. Comes in really handy to get into tight spots and tight corners when your big sanders aren't gonna work. I've gotten myself out of quite a few jams with this baby right here. Another very popular tool that we keep finding we use more and more and more is an oscillator tool. This one's multiple speed, automatic. It's made by Metabo HPT. I usually buy my blades right off Amazon. There's so much less than going to a home center. I can spend $30 on 3 blades, or I can spend $10 on 20 blades, or something like that. I mean, you can get a lot better deal online for these type of blades, and they work just as good as the name brand. You might get a couple less cuts out of them, but so what? They usually get trashed before then. We use these a lot under door jambs, under sills, in corners when I have to notch out trim. I've used this probably 50 times between these 2 builds that we're building on this house right now. Something else we use quite often are levels. We exclusively use Stabila levels. I don't like switching brands of levels because these are dead accurate. I've been to the factory in Annweiler, Germany. I've seen how they're made. I'm sold 100% on the quality and the craftsmanship of this level. These are the R-beams. Look like an R when you look at the side of them. They have a nice fit in your hand, and they just work. They never fail. And I've actually had levels that I've dropped and it knocked the vial out of whack. And then I was wondering why I couldn't build a level deck. It took me 4 hours to figure it out one day. So I chopped that level in half on my chop saw and won't ever use anything but these again. These are so high quality, you can drop these and it won't change the accuracy of these levels. Just a great product by a great company. All right, this is a blower by DeWalt. It says, again, a flex volt. We have a lot of DeWalt tools because we have that battery platform. We have a lot of their batteries. A blower just comes in really handy when you're just cleaning up at the end of the day. Sometimes when I'm cutting out stair jacks or stair stringers and I have a lot of sawdust, anytime I have a lot of sawdust going on, I'll just run this on low. It has a setting. You can just, this dial. You don't have to put it on super high to be effective. I've actually used this on hot days just to keep us cool as well. So It's a great product. This one, I really like this blower. This is model number DCBL772. And for most of what we do, it works great. Okay, just a couple more things that you might need building or installing decking. A chalk line always comes in handy. I use white chalk so that I can just do, you can actually see it in the floor still. A simple water bath will take that off. A light scrubbing with water. When we rinse the deck down, that'll disappear. Other colors can be a little more stubborn to get out. Don't ever use red on a deck. And blue sometimes will be hard to get out as well. So I suggest using white chalk to chalk out your lines, to chalk your cut lines and all that stuff. It cleans off really easy. And then maybe a little pry bar. We have several, but we use these to pry in between to get our spacers in and out of the decking. Sometimes if they're really tight, you can just use a quick pry bar and it pulls them right out. So just a couple hand tools that you might need while you're laying a deck. That's about all that I use to install this decking on this deck. So if that helped you out, or if you like this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.